What up, world? This is the GoalNet, recording live from GoalNet Studios here outside of Chicago. And if you haven't figured it out yet, we are here to talk Sher-Wood composite goalie sticks today. So you may not be aware, but over the last year, I've probably used nearly every single pro stick on the market. And one of the things I haven't done is many reviews for the sticks, past some just general, hey, this one's lighter, this one has a great feel, a great balance, point out which ones come with rubber texturized grips and things like that. And one of the main reasons that I haven't done that is that I feel like a stick is a really personal thing. Right up there with like a catch glove, everybody has their break, and once you find a break that you love, you don't change it for the life of you. And I feel like sticks are a lot like that, just in the sense that when you find a pattern that works with you, you may not be that open to experimentation. And then if you do experiment with something else, if the paddle changes, if the lie changes, it may give you a sour taste in your mouth, even though the stick itself is great. And also through the opportunity and fortune that I've had to test all these different sticks, over the last 12, 18 months, I've experimented with some paddle shapes and sizes myself, and definitely found that the one I'm most comfortable in is my CCM Premier 2 25-inch stick with standard shoulders, but it has the current pro stock Carey Price blade with the square heel, and that's just, or square toe, excuse me. But that stick's just been perfect, like sets my stance really well, like where my hand is in the blocker when I go down. And that's the number one reason that I've used that stick. It's been a great stick, but just to be clear, the pattern kind of first and foremost has started to become the most important thing to me when I look at a stick. And that's one of the reasons that I haven't done as much maybe as I could have with sticks. But one of the reasons I'm starting here with the Sher-Wood is this company unfortunately kind of fell on some tough times, recently got acquired by Canadian Tire. I'm not really sure what's happening with Sher-Wood moving forward. From what I can still tell, the BPM150, which is the model we'll talk about here today, is still on Pure Goalie. It's on Goalie Monkey. It's available from all the places that are still selling Sher-Wood, but I'm not sure moving forward if that's still the plan, if Sher-Wood's going to be a house brand at Canadian Tire. Unfortunately, I reached out to try and get some of that info ahead of this video. Wasn't able to lock that down, but it's still a great stick, and why they're available, I figured I would do Sher-Wood some justice and let everybody know what this stick is. And spoiler alert, you can probably save yourself the next 10, 11 minutes. This is an awesome goalie stick. So if you are out in the market right now, this video is being recorded around Christmas time, and you're looking for a gift for the goalie in your life, looking to treat yourself, buy one from your kid, you're gonna be getting some cash for Christmas and wanna buy a new twig, on the 26th or whatnot, this is definitely one to check out. There's a lot to love in this stick and only a few minor complaints for me, and they're not durability, they're not lightweight, which are basically, I think, the two most key factors people look at when they look at a composite goalie stick. So the number one thing I think people look at when they look at composite goalie sticks is the weight. And if you haven't followed sticks at all, or you live under a rock, or this is your very first time watching one of my videos, you may not be aware, Bauer pretty much dominates the composite goalie stick game right now. That's just a fact. I think there's very few categories in hockey, from what I can tell, that are dominated as much as Bauer is with goalie skates right now. Or goalie sticks, excuse me. And for a long time, they didn't really have much competition. And as I alluded to earlier in this video, I've tried a lot of sticks over the last, year, 18 months. Bauer has a lot stiffer competition. But there's a few things Bauer absolutely crushes, and that is lightweight. So I have over here my very first composite stick, the NXG with the retro graphics. Unfortunately, the blade broke on me, but didn't completely die out. So it's really great to keep around for videos like this as a reference point, because if the NXG stick was released today, it would still basically be the lightest stick on the market. And that's pretty crazy when you think about it, because this stick has not been made, this is 2 generations old, and we're halfway through the 2S release cycle. So this stick was literally released like 5 years ago. And if it came out today, people would pick this up and be like, wow, this is the lightest stick I've ever held. So Bauer's really led the charge in terms of lightweight. And again, that's not to say it's everything with a goalie stick, but it is definitely one of the things people talk the most about. Same thing with pads, same things with skates. Everyone wants to know, is it light? And so that's really one of the revolutions Bauer has led. So the NXG stick comes in at about 710 grams. This is all data that as sticks renew, I've weighed everything. I'm going to try and keep the video a little bit more concise and not show all of the weights, but the NXG stick comes in at about 710 grams. The 1S was the first stick that got under the 700 gram mark. And the 1S came in at 678 grams. So that was about a 30 gram weight savings from the NXG to the 1S. So that was a huge weight savings. And Bauer did it again, with roughly, I think, 678, 649. So about a 30 gram weight savings again, going from 1S to 2S. So basically Bauer has shaved 60 grams of weight, over the last 5 years, when only one other stick on the market has cracked the 700 gram mark. So to put that in context, in my opinion, that's why we see so many Bauer goalie sticks out there. Number one in the NHL, CHL, NCAA, and all that. But again, there are options, and the competition is getting tougher and tougher in the composite stick market. If we look at some of the other sticks, just to put in context where Bauer's lead is, the Warrior CR1, which might be the story of the year last year with how many pros, started to use that stick and adopted it. That stick is about 740 grams. So the Bauer 2S is almost a full 100 grams lighter than the CR1. So that is pretty crazy. And just to throw out a couple more data points, just to put everything we're about to talk to with the Sher-Wood in full context, the weight of the CCM P2 I have is about 715 grams, so right around the same weight as the NXG. And the first generation True 6.0 SBP, not the new hair trigger model, that came in at 724 grams, so about 10 grams heavier than the NXG and the CCM Premier 2. And one thing, if you're not aware, as I mentioned, the NXG still basically could stand up to any stick on the market. It's about 5 years old. That's why it's still really popular. If you follow the GoalNet account on Instagram, have pointed out many pros use older generation sticks like the NXG because it's one of those scenarios, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The stick holds up to anything in the market today. But let's focus on the stick at hand. So hopefully that background, just giving you some of the weights and putting into context of where Bauer is, will make the Sher-Wood stick as impressive as I find it. And one of the reasons I think that's key is, again, as I mentioned earlier, Sher-Wood's had some financial trouble. We don't see them used in the NHL anymore. The last couple of years when they were used by Craig Anderson and Jake Allen, they were the foam cores. They didn't have logos on the sticks because Sher-Wood stopped paying the NHL licensing fee. And some people may have not even understood what sticks those guys were using. So my message here is don't sleep on Sher-Wood. This stick here is the only other stick on the market that I've weighed, and from what I can tell reading research, comes in at under 700 grams. This is a 26-inch paddle stick, and when I previously weighed this, it came in at 696 grams. So between the 1S and the NXG in weight, and that's really, really impressive. The other thing Sher-Wood did here with this stick that I really like is they use graphene, which is literally the hardest material on earth. It is harder than steel. And a lot of people know that some other sticks in the market can have issues with shafts snapping and breaking. And they threw graphene infused with a carbon fiber into the shaft to make it strong. And I mention this because I've heard of graphene in my professional life. It is a real material. It's not just marketing hype. And I've had no real durability issues with this stick at all. This is a stick I never really committed to full time. And basically that was just a paddle issue. I liked some of the other patterns better, and that's why I didn't use it. But I always find myself going back to this stick because I really like the lightweight. The one other biggest, strongest positive suit I see for Sher-Wood is something I've never seen mentioned in any of the marketing literature. and it's not something that I've ever really heard talked about with composite sticks. But generally speaking, everybody wants to know, how's the vibration? How does it feel in your hands? Do you get stingers with it? Does it feel like a foam core? And I fully respect that anybody transitioning from a foam core stick to a composite, these are huge issues. And you never want stingers. If you take a clapper off the blade, you don't want buzzing in your hand. That doesn't feel good. We get it. But one of the things we need to start to think about is the evolution of goalie sticks. Companies are going to keep releasing products every 2 years. If they have multiple lines, they're going to have a fresh stick in the stores every year. They want us to upgrade. They're going to constantly push the boundaries of what's possible. And I think one of the things that's going to start to change is trying to exploit the potential benefits of carbon fiber. And instead of trying to make a stick that feels like a foam core but is lighter, we're going to focus on the positives of composites and really exploit that. And I think some good examples of that are the ergo spine on the 2S, which is one of the ways Bauer was able to shave another 30 grams versus the 1S. And then the first thing they did was flattening the front of the paddle and putting this twist in here to optimize balance on the stick, and also kind of change up the way the rebounds do it, which is a perfect transition to my favorite feature on the Sher-Wood I've never heard. Pucks fly off this thing. So whenever people are looking at new pads and blockers right now, everybody talks about hot rebounds. Bauer obtains it with their curved material. CCM obtains it with the max rebound material, which is a soft foam. Bryans does it by putting hard foams in the face of their goalie pads. Nobody's talking about it with sticks. And it's kind of a head scratcher to me, because when we think about putting composites in blocker boards or goalie pad faces to make hotter rebounds that launch out of play, why wouldn't we be thinking about that same thing with a composite stick instead of having pucks hit it and deaden? And again, I get the stinger aspect, but most of the sticks I've used don't have stingers. I can say that with P2, with Sher-Wood, with all three of the Bauers that I've used. So I think that we've engineered past that, and it's time to look toward the future and stop worrying about getting stingers. And that gets me to Sher-Wood. I'd love to see companies start engineering things like hot rebounds into sticks. I don't know if it's an accident. I don't know if it's great luck I've had with Sher-Wood, but compared to any other stick I've used, I've just find pucks fly off this thing. You get any stick, or any shot rather, with decent velocity on it, you get it clean on the black tape bandits there. The thing's going high up into the glass. It's going out of play. You're getting a whistle, or you're getting time to recovery. And that's a huge thing that I don't think should be overlooked with sticks. And I really hope that we start to see more thought process like that moving forward. Or on the other side, I'd love to see taking advantage of the composites and really improving the flexibility of the goal sticks. There's a lot of crazy flexes out there available to NHL shooters, and hopefully we'll start to see that in the goalie stick world, because I think some additional design, around paddle flex or something like that really might allow you to throw those sauce passes with ease, or really get, an extra 10 miles per hour velocity when you're clearing pucks, just like going from, wood sticks to composites did for the players 10 or 15 years ago, whenever those started to hit the NHL. So we'll dive in now and take a closer look at the stick itself, and I'll highlight a few of my low points and also maybe talk about how this is configured. I'm currently using butt ends in all my sticks, but the first rubber grips that I tried were actually out of Russia, and the name of the company is Russian Grip. And the goalie version they sent me had too large of a knob, and they randomly just sent me to show their capabilities with printing a Blackhawks sample, assuming that I was a Blackhawks fan, being in Chicago, even though we all know I'm a big Flyer fan. So I had some fun with this grip though and started experimenting. So I actually cut it in half just to see how that would hold up over time, and unfortunately it started to pop up, so I put a little bit of Howie's clear tape over that, and that's what that is. So now all my sticks use the butt end. Russian Grip's not bad. It's a little bit more, I'd say, tape-like, versus the butt ends is a little bit more like a golf grip, and it's just more of a preference. Which one do you like better? From my experience, the Russian grips actually seem to be a little bit more durable. The butt ends, I've had some little cuts in them, but I've also taken the butt ends off 2 or 3 sticks, and I have to imagine the wear and tear of popping them on and off the shafts of sticks can cause that. But anyway, going down, we'll hit one of the negatives for me. This is one of those negatives that may not apply to every goalie out there, but it does apply to me. I'm a huge fan of the rubber tactile grip. that is on most of the player sticks in the market that Bauer and CCM spray on their sticks at the top of the paddle and to the grip area. Can't really see it visually here, but Bauer calls it the control zone grip tech, and that's basically from that graphic to about here. I love that because I can get rid of taping my stick. I feel like I have better grip, better control when I'm holding directly onto the stick itself and not onto tape. And lastly, I find it's better than for my blocker palms when you're not using tape there. Your blocker palms stay fresher longer over time. They don't wear out as fast, where tape can cause friction and wear them out. And it can also leave some residue in your blocker palm and get nasty over time. So that's why I'm such a proponent of the grip coating. So what I did here was a little DIY grip coating because I didn't want to go back to tape. And this has lasted about a year, which way exceeded my expectations, and it only takes about 5 minutes to apply. So as you can see with the wear, I'll probably rip this off sometime soon and add a new layer. But this is just Rust-Oleum, basically Plasti Dip spray. There's also a version like a spray seal for like leaky gutters, both Rust-Oleum. I've tried them both. They seem to work pretty well. Basically just tape off the areas you don't want covered up with the spray and just spray at it. And again, this is about a year old, and believe it or not, that doesn't really affect me when I play, but again, I'll probably rip this off and redo it sometime soon. So number one complaint on this stick is there's no grip, and I don't know if you can tell, but this is really shiny. This shaft is like lightning, so you definitely need to tape or put a grip coating on this stick if you're going to use it. I had a lot of fun doing the spray grip coating, but I'd imagine the majority of goalies out there will just throw some tape on it. My other issue is the lack of curves. Sher-Wood only offers 2 curves at this point in time. This is the classic PP41, which I believe is currently in stores branded as an Anderson. It used to be the Tebow for any of the older goalies out there. And then the other stick they offer is the PP30, which if it has a name on it, I believe would be the Brodeur. And that's it. They don't really have a wedge curve, and they don't really have, I want to say, I actually don't know the P30 that well, but I want to say it doesn't match up with the P31 from Bauer, which is the best-selling stick. Sher-Wood lists this on their website as a toe curve. They list the P30, the old Brodeur curve, is the mid curve. So that's it. Wedge is my preferred curve. And again, just in terms of a sales standpoint, I think a Bauer P31 clone curve is definitely kind of a requirement if you're looking to convert anybody to your sticks. With all that said, I hadn't used a 41 in 5+ years maybe, and felt right at home with it. I would definitely say that the wedge style, like the Pro Stock Price, is my favorite curve. This is definitely my second favorite curve on the market, but again, I like options, and I also just look at it from a retail standpoint and selling sticks, and not having that P31 style curve I think is a killer in the market. And if I am wrong and the P30 is, I apologize, but based on the curve and the description, I didn't quite think that it was. Haven't seen one of those up close, but anyway, no issue shooting with it. Some of the other things I love about this stick is the look. The all black exposed carbon I just think is slick. This stick looks mean. No graphics, I think add a lot of value just showing off the stick. And we all know I love Black Tape Bandits, so meshes perfectly with that as well. And just to mix it up, Sher-Wood in small on the back, but super clean on the front. The other thing that I love is the stick does feel really well engineered for me because it's super thin. I don't know if this is coming through in video, but the blade and the paddle on this stick are extremely thin, and it's also pretty flat if we were going to compare it to a foam core stick, which would have a little bit more of an oval shaped pattern. So when you pick this thing up and look at it, you can tell there's a lot of thought that went into the engineering. And I'm not sure, but as I mentioned, this thing has really good hot rebounds. I'm not sure if the flatter shape here contributes to that or not. It definitely could be a contributing factor. But as you can see, really a lot of use on this stick. I always use this stick when I practice. Doesn't use it in that many games, on and off for a year. And basically the only negative we see here in terms of wear is just some chips in this cosmetic finish, which again is a really high gloss finish on this stick. So the thing you can't help but not mention with sticks is price points. And the reason being, is that there's a huge discrepancy. Basically, every pro stick on the market is about $200 US. This one would come in at $220 standard retail price, and I've seen a lot of people advertising these sticks on sale at the holiday as well, so you can get every cheaper. The P2, the Warrior CR1 are about 200 bucks, and then I think the Trues come in at like 250, 260. The Bauer sticks come in at about 300 US for the 2S Pro. As I mentioned, they absolutely have a lighter stick and a different stick than anybody else in the market. So that's not to say it's too expensive, it's overpriced, because they definitely have something nobody else has. But I think if anybody's looking to save a few bucks on a stick and spend around 200, the Sher-Wood is definitely something you should be looking at. And I think most people might gravitate towards the P2 or the CR1. Don't sleep on the Sher-Wood BPM150. I found it to be a great stick, and like every single time I post a picture of me using this, somebody DMs me and says I have one of those and I love it. I don't get the positive feedback like that from some of the other sticks. That's not to say that they're not better sticks, but it just seems like everybody that has this stick is really enthusiastic about it. So definitely, if you get the opportunity, take a look at one of these Sher-Wood BPM150s, and if they don't sell them at your local hockey shop, but looking for a deal in the holiday season, definitely check these out, and you can write me some nasty messages in the comments on thegolnet.com, send me some hate mail over DM on direct message chat over Instagram if you're not happy with it. But again, I think this is a stick that a lot of goalies will like that they're not currently considering, and that's why I'm strongly encouraging everybody to take a look at this stick if you're in the market for a new stick and your budget's around 200 bucks. So thanks for tuning in. This is the GoalNet signing out.